Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. Every single morning we bring you this video wherein we update you with the latest happenings in the world of sport that you might have missed out on whilst you were catching up on some all-important rest. Because whilst we need sleep, well, the world of sport never really stops, never really rests, never really sleeps, and there's always something going on, and therefore it can be a tad bit tiring to keep abreast with all the latest developments that happen, especially when you aren't actually active. But worry not, that's what we're here for. So in this video segment, we're going to talk about a few things that may have flown under your radar. Let's get straight to it, and let's start with some pretty interesting talk emerging from the England camp, which was expected after a first test win. Former England spinner Monty Panesar, who was part of the England side that last won a series in India, has now claimed that England could potentially get a 5-0 whitewash in this particular series if the likes of Ollie Pope and Tom Hartley continue playing the way they play. Now, whilst I think it's safe to say that you can maybe pencil them in with an outside chance of winning the series, maybe. A 5-0 whitewash, really? You've won one test, there's still 4 tests to go. You don't even have a stranglehold as far as the series is concerned, and you're already talking like that. I mean, I understand the confidence, but come on now. I think if India were to be whitewashed 5-0 by England, then you may as well forget about playing test match and you may as well forget about the future of test matches in this nation. One loss does not mean that India are an average team. Yes, they were clearly out-tactic on the particular day, but to say that they will be whitewashed 5-0, I think that is a little bit much. But what's not a little bit much is the comments, let's say, that former India captain and coach Anil Kumble had when discussing how it is that India approached the first test. And he said that India were ordinary. Those were his exact words. He said that, look, India looked very, very ordinary on the field. Their shoulders drooped. And to make things worse, there was no intent or no particular application to try and make things happen. They were waiting for things to happen instead, which is never a good thing. He also pointed out how, let's say, India's batters kind of shot themselves in the foot in the second innings because they didn't actually be proactive enough. They were batting in a shell. And it does echo a lot of, comments and analysis that we ourselves here at Sports Today have talked about. We've said it that, look, they've been an ordinary side. They didn't really look good. They were out-tactic. They didn't bat well. Their bowlers were often found wanting. And England was simply the better team. I think that's a fair assessment, but it will hit harder coming from someone who has coached the team and also, lest we forget, captained the team to some pretty memorable test match victories. More cricket news and, of course, sticking with the India-England series, but thanks to the injury suffered to KL Rahul, it finally opened up the spot in at long last Sarfaraz Khan. This man right here who's been scoring bucket loads of runs in domestic cricket finally got his maiden India test call-up. And the first person on hand to congratulate him is his Mumbai teammate Surkumar Yadav, who posted this particular story of them on, captioned it very clearly saying, maiden India call-up, Utsav ki taiyari karo. It's clear that Sky is very, very happy for the success of his fellow Mumbaiker, and you can understand why. Clearly, the two share a close bond, but there's also the fact that simply put on sporting merit, Sarfaraz definitely deserved it. He had been not just knocking on the door, but he had practically banged the doors down of the selectors with the truckloads of runs that he scored in domestic cricket. And one really hopes that this is not just a one-off thing, but that there is a future pathway for someone who's done so well in domestic cricket. Switching our focus now, world of cricket to world of football, and there is a lot of news to catch up on. Starting with Inter Miami's, pre-season tour, which saw Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez reunite on the field once again and do so to pretty devastating effect because both of them got on the score sheet in the match that they played against Al Hilal. Unfortunately, Al Hilal ran out 4-3 winners, but I don't think results matter when it comes to preseason. Preseason is all about getting the engine running. It's all about working on your fitness and getting into match rhythm. And given the fact that both Messi and Suarez were on the score sheet, does bode relatively well for Inter Miami's chances in the MLS this year. Don't forget, they had a torrid season last time around. Didn't even end up making it to the playoffs, although a lot of that was down to their league position before Messi came. This time around, they would hope that with a full preseason and working with the likes of Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Alba throughout the season, that you may be able to actually make a tilt for the playoffs, something that Inter Miami have not been able to do in recent seasons. This man right here, Marcus Rashford, was unfortunately in the news for the wrong reasons when recently it turned out that he had missed training for Manchester United due to him being on a night out at a bar and then declaring himself too ill to train. Now, obviously, this isn't the first time you've heard of such issues when it comes to this man right here, but Manchester United have now released a statement saying that, look, we disciplined him, the matter has been taken care of, and it will remain internal. On the one hand, it's a good thing that, let's say, it stayed internal and that it didn't become a public airing of the laundry as it did in the case of United manager Erik ten Hag and currently on loan winger Jadon Sancho. But we don't really know what the punishment was. Was it a fine? Was it some sort of a temporary suspension? What did he have to do? We don't know. What we know is that he will be available for selection for the next game against Wolves, although considering how United have been playing without him in the squad, he's a little bit doubtful as to whether or not he waltzed straight back in to the playing 11. More Premier League related news, and Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has strongly denied any news that has been linking him to Barcelona. There were sensationalist claims made in the Spanish media that Arteta wanted out of Arsenal at the end of the season so that he could go and replace his his compatriot Xavi, who will be leaving Barcelona at the end of the season and become their new manager. However, Arteta in a press conference said, no, it's fake news. I am not going anywhere. And truth be told, why would he? He's at an Arsenal side that he's very much molded in his own image. He has the backing of the owners, fans, and even the players. Why would he risk all of that to go to a Barcelona side that, I'm sorry to say, are very much a mess right now, both on and off the field? So it makes no sense. But again, it is worth remembering that Arteta is a former La Masia Academy product. Although that being said, Xavi was also a former La Masia Academy product and also a club legend. Didn't really afford him much leeway or in fact much of a shield. Arteta has all of that in mode. Arsenal never made any sense him leaving. Speaking of one manager who's linked with leaving and another who will definitely be leaving, Jurgen Klopp has confirmed that he will be leaving Liverpool, and this man right here, Virgil van Dijk, who of course is the captain of Liverpool right now, has basically said that he might not be interested in staying at Liverpool without the charismatic German manager there at the helm. Van Dijk currently has about 18 months left on his deal, and speaking in the podcast recently said that, look, I do have 18 months left. The manager leaving surprises me, and I'm curious to see how exactly it is that Liverpool go about replacing not just him, but also all of the backroom staff and key personnel at the top of the management this thing. Because again, don't forget, they won't be having a football director, so that's an important position that needs filling as well. There's plenty of upheaval, and Van Dijk, still very much at the peak of his powers, has said that, look, once all of that is sorted, then and only then will I make any decisions. But again, 18 months left. If he enters the summer with no talks, 1 year left, you may very well see Liverpool look to cash in. And what's more, you could see a very legendary stint come to an end at Liverpool. It could happen. Last bit of news before we call it quits on this edition of the Morning Wrap. The Indian Davis Cup team will be travelling for a Davis Cup tie against Pakistan, and it's going to be the first time in 60 years that Pakistan will be hosting India in a tie. And let's put it this way, the amount of security that the Indian team are going to be given, it's head of state level. They're going to have 3 to 4 to 5 layers in some cases of security. There's going to be constant monitoring. The players are going to be under surveillance at all times. And this is actually a big opportunity for Pakistan because, again, there was a threat that it would be moved out of Pakistan and played in a neutral venue as it had been done in 2019. This time around, though, the ITF said nothing doing. India have to travel to Pakistan or they forfeit the tie. And that is why, with their hand forced, ITA said, look, we'll send a team. But even the Pakistan Tennis Federation are pretty intent on ensuring that nothing whatsoever goes awry, because the amount of security they put in place, well, it's pretty impressive to say the least. Now, that says it's a good thing. We don't really want any sort of incidents happening like had happened with the Sri Lankan cricketers, and you'd hope that excuse me, but the amount of security we have in place might not be having such a problem. And that's it from us in this edition of the Morning Wrap with Sports Today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tap that bell, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Don't forget to download the SportsTech app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done, and stay tuned, plenty more coming your way. For now though, from my side, it's goodbye.